Hi there, in this video we are going to use AutoGen in under 20 lines of codes. That is going to be interesting. Let's go. So AutoGen, if you want to know more about AutoGen, you can check out this video. But in this video we are going to see a sort of hands-on exercise on how to get started. Now AutoGen, they allow conversable agents, and these agents can work under different modes, and these agents can interact with each other. It will make sense in a bit now, but let's get started. So first of all, go ahead to python.org and go to downloads and install this latest version of Python. You can install the previous version as well, because the latest version can have some issues. So download Python greater than 3.8. Next, go ahead to code.visualstudio.com, and this is my favorite editor, so please download this and let's get started. So after downloading Visual Studio Code, we need to download the Docker. This is for the use of Docker in Windows. I have a Windows machine, so I have already installed this Docker. So after you have these three applications downloaded, the Python, Visual Studio Code and Docker, you also need to set up an OpenAI API. So you need to go to openai.com and log in and put in your credit card and have this API keys ready, so you can generate API keys here. So once you have these four things, we can get started. So in order to get started, we head over to Visual Studio. Let me open this for you again. So let us open Visual Studio Code Editor, and we are going to open up a new folder. Actually, we are going to create a new folder. Let me create a new folder for you. This is project number 176, YouTube AutoGen. Okay, so I select this folder, and now this is the folder where we are going to work. Okay, so here we are going to create a virtual environment first, because it is always good to have a virtual environment. So for creating a virtual environment, we hold down Shift and Control, and then we press P on your keyboard. So we get that Python create environment. So click on create environment. I'm going to show you by using venv. So create a .venv virtual environment in the current workplace. So click on venv, and then we need to select the Python version that we need to create, that you are going to use to create the virtual environment. So I'm going to select 3.10.11. So it is creating a virtual environment. Now this virtual environment, if you install packages within the virtual environment and keep your projects separated, then it's very easy for you to manage the projects, and different versions do not conflict with each other. So the following environment is selected. This is done. So you can click here, go to scripts, go to activate.bat, and you can run this. So once you run this, you will see that we are inside the .venv environment, and you can see the dot. We can go back to the main folder. So the main folder is on this 136 YouTube AutoGen. So we minimize this, and now we are going to code up our app. So we click on new file, we say app.py. we are going to rename this. So I close this, and let's make some space and let's code it out. So here, first of all, we need to install AutoGen. So we say pip install py AutoGen. So click on enter. This is installing. Also, once you have installed Docker, you need to open Docker as well. So I will open the Docker desktop as well. So it's loading up the Docker desktop. Okay, this is still installing by AutoGen. So this is done. Now let's write up the code. So from AutoGen, we need to import two things. One is assistant agent that will work as the assistant, and as user proxy agent. If you can hover this, you can see that assistant agent is a subclass of a conversable agent configured with the default system message. The default system message is designed to solve a task with LLM including suggesting Python code blocks and debugging. Okay, human input mode is set to never, so human input is not required here. Next, in the user proxy agent, you can see it's a proxy for the user, so that will be a replacement of humans. Now you can have different modes of running. You can have it fully autonomous, and you can say that human input mode is always never, and if you want to interact with the code more, then you can say human input mode to always, or you can have another one is terminate, so it will do everything, and at the termination level it will ask for your inputs or the human inputs. So these are the two class that we have imported from this AutoGen library, and now we need to configure a list of the open or the API that you're going to use. So this is a list, and here we need to put model. So the model that you're going to use is actually, if you head over to API keys here in platform.openai.com, if you head over to documentation and models, you can see different types of models that you can use: GPT 3.4, 3.5 turbo, turbo 16K, and GPT-4. So in this case, I am going to use for example GPT 40613. Let's use this one. So copy this, and let me just close this. Copy this and head over to the app. So paste this, just hold on, copy and paste this, and put a comma here. Next, we are going to set up the API key here. So the API key will be can be found here. We go to platform.openai.com, account usage here, and go to API keys. Here we are going to create a secret API key. Let's say AutoGen, create secret key, and it is asking me to verify as a human. I am a human, there is no doubt about this. This is complete. Copy this and head over. So this is done. So this is the API key, and this is the config list that you're going to use. Now, in order to batch and use this config list, so this is how we do. We take this variable LLM config, and here in the config list we are going to put the config list, and there are different other settings that you can have, but I'm just putting it simply. And if you're using this for the first time, if you're coding this for the first time, you'll find this very useful, and this is a working code. So LLM config, we put in LLM config. Next, we need to create two things: create an instance of assistant agent, and other is create an instance of the user proxy agent. Okay, so here, how do you create an instance of the assistant agent? So this is we define a variable known as assistant, and we say assistant agent here, and here we need to put the name of the assistant. So I'm just going to call the assistant, okay, and LLM config will be the LLM config that we have configured here. Okay, so this is a simple setting for the assistant. For the user proxy agent, we again name this. Let's name this as user proxy, and just hold on. And this is the user proxy agent class. So here again we are going to put the name. Name is, let's say, user proxy, and the system message, we need to put some system message here. System message, let's say this is a human input, nothing else, and human input mode is set to never. So we're never going to interact with the code. I mean, the user proxy will play our role, the human's role, 100%. So that's never. Now, how to initiate the chat is very easy. We say user proxy dot initiate chat, and assistant. We are calling the assistant, and the message that we are going to have here is, let's say, find the latest paper on about GPT-4 on ARXIV archive and find its potential application in software. Okay, oh my god. So this is the code. I think this should work. So let's run this. So how do you run this? We go ahead to here and say python app.py. So this is we're going to run this python app.py. So press enter, and module xgboost has no attributes xg regressor, so it needs a module xgboost. So what you can do is just install xgboost. So this is going to install everything. Actually, if you see, we have under this virtual environment, you can see all the modules are installed here. All the libraries are installed within the live side packages only. So it is installing the scipy and the xgboost. This is some package that is required. Okay, let's start up again. Python app.py. Okay, let me make some space here. So what we are seeing here is that find the latest paper about GPT-4 on archive and find its application in software. So this user proxy to the assistant, so it's sending message to the assistant to work on this project, which is finding the latest paper about GPT-4 and finding the users. Then assistant to user proxy. Sure, I will do this in 2 steps. First, we need to find the latest paper about GPT-4 on archive. To do this, to achieve this, we can use the archive API with the Python archive library to search for papers about GPT-4. Here is a Python code to do this. Please execute it. Python code, this is a Python name. So the code starts from here. Import archive, define a new function known as get latest paper, and we return the paper after searching the paper. So latest paper is get latest paper on the term GPT-4. Print the latest paper title is latest paper.title, and the abstract of the paper is latest paper.abstract.summary. So you're printing the abstract and printing the title. So this is the code. This code will print the title and the abstract of the latest paper about GPT-4. Since it's sorting the results by the submitted date in descending order, the first result should be the latest. Okay. In the second step, I will read the abstract to find potential application GPT-4 in the software field. If needed, you might need to download the full paper for a comprehensive understanding. This doesn't require to execute any various codes, and I will use my language skills to interpret the printed abstract. Pretty good. So execute code. This is executing the code after the user gets this code. User proxy gets the code from the assistant. It is running the code. So executing code, execute code was called with use Docker evaluating to true, but the Python Docker package is not available. Okay, it is using the Docker. Since I have Docker already running, it is going to use the Docker, but the Python Docker package is not available. So falling back to native code execution. This fallback behavior is subject to change. SIGA Silgram is not supported on Windows. No timeout will be there. So here it found out that import archive module was not found. So assistant to the proxy. So it gave up the reply. It gave the reply to the assistant that when I was running the code, I found this problem. Then the assistant analyzed the problem, and again it gives back some output. I apologize for the confusion. It seems like the archive Python library is not installed in your environment. We need to install it before you can proceed. So please run this code to install it. So pip install archive. After this, please execute this same code. Then the user is going to executing code. Invalid syntax. Okay. My apologies for the confusion. The code is intended to be run in the iNotebook or similar environment where this symbol denotes a shell command. Okay, but it seems you are not using that type of command, so you can use this process. So this is executing the sys is not defined, and now it is executing this code. Okay, execute code was called using the use doc evaluation to true. Now it's executing the code, it's collecting, it is finally able to install the archive library. So successfully install the archive library, and then we get this output. So the name of the paper is, the latest paper title is Generating and Evaluating Test for K-12 Students with Language Model Simulation, a case study on the sentence read efficiency. The abstract, this is the abstract, whole abstract. Thank you for executing the code. Use assistant to the user proxy. Thank you for executing the code. The latest paper of GPT-4 for archive is titled Generating and Evaluating Tests for K-12 Students with Language Model Simulations. From the abstract, the potential applications of GPT-4 in software can be identified in the education sector and specifically in test generation. The paper discusses how they fine-tune the GPT-4 language model to generate new test items following expert-developed rules. This application could be potentially used in any education software that provides testing or quizzing functionality. Given a set of rules and conditions, GPT-4 can dynamically generate unique test questions, which could significantly improve the diversity and adaptability of the test and reduce the need for human efforts in test creation. Moreover, it can also be applied to education or training software products tailored for a variety of fields, not just K-12 education. Any software that requires assessment creation could leverage a similar approach to generate questions or cases based on the given constraint, making the tool more versatile and efficient. Please note that this is a summary of the abstract. For more complete details, it would be advised to go through the full paper. So this is terminated. So this is done. Okay. So what did you do? We did nothing. We just set up two agents, set up two assistants. Our first assistant is the assistant itself that is going to work. The other is the user that is going to replace us. And if we set this to the never mode, it is going to conduct the work that you have specified here. So you can try out different functions by just changing this. Now this code, you can code it up, but I will also share this code on my GitHub repo. You can find the link in the description. Now, if you head over to API keys and see the usage, that is the usage. So it was about 0.6 cost, I think. So running I ran this about maybe 6 times. So when running for 6 times, the cost is about $1.2. So it is not that cheap, because if you're trying to run different examples and testing it out, you would need to incur some cost here. But this is a great development if we can, but it would be a great development if you can use open source models that will not be using the OpenAI API Key, because this is a little bit costly on the higher side. But yeah, now as always, I would like to summarize the whole thing that we did. So first we install Python, then Visual Studio Code, Docker desktop, and set up our OpenAI account. Then we head over to the Visual Studio Code. We also ran the Docker. We got started with the Docker because it is going to use the Docker. And here we created a virtual environment using Control Shift and P, creating a virtual environment. Then we code this up. This is from AutoGen. We config the list. We create an instance of assistant, create an instance of user, and everything starts with the user proxy, which initiate the chat. It asks the assistant to do something, and that something is typed here. So this is how simple it is, and under 20 lines of code. And of course, when we see in the results, we were able to see that it was not able to install the archive library, but finally after multiple iterations it was able to get the archive library installed. It was able to give us the latest paper, the title, the summary, and its potential use in different applications. So this is how you do it. this is how you use AutoGen. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. Also like this and share this video with your friends and families. This is your host Prompt Engineer, and I will be back with more interesting video like this on other projects. Please stay subscribed, stay tuned, and I will see you next time.